we have Stan Eaton. He will go against Roger Sauerwein.
David, tell me a little bit about this match quickly.
Well, Stan said, talked to him a little earlier, he's going to be playing the shot a little more direct than he normally would, let's say, and he's going to be trying to go around the ball a little early. Let's see if it works against Roger's style, a little bit more direct. No frills bowling here, but we've got two players that can make some great shots, and I anticipate some nice scores.
Well, let's look for the big numbers. That's coming up next on the 14K Hudy King of TV Bowl. Stick around.
Greater Cincinnati, BPA, 14K King of Bowling.
Baseball at Crosley Field. Cruising on the river. Dancing at Moonlight Gardens. 14K on tap. Cincinnati's premium lager beer. The one, the only, the original 14K.
Hey, let's get something to drink. Let's forget about it.
No, come on, it's no problem.
So, how do we get back in?
Hey. Okay, come on, let's go. You got the keys? This is not a problem.
Hey, Mark, I see you got one of those rhinos. Next thing you know, he's going to tell us it's got horns.
Unleash your game. Roll a rhino. The Rhino. From Brunswick, a urethane ball designed for professional and high-performance bowling.
Everywhere you look these days, there's another place promising outrageous deals on brake jobs. He looked into them, but he came to Midas. And he's not alone. A million others trust Midas, too. For good reason. Because nobody beats Midas. Our brake shoes and pads are guaranteed for as long as you own your car. They're installed by trained brake technicians, and that's just part of our $59 brake special. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Welcome back to Kingpin Lanes here in Anderson Township. And, of course, another year on Channel 5 WLWT, and glad to be back with the both of you. Of course, I missed the first 2 weeks, and it is my pleasure to be back.
Special assignment, yeah, right.
Is that what you told the folks at home?
Oh, yeah. We distorted the truth just a wee bit, Tommy.
Okay.
We knew you were down there working, of course.
Stan Eaton, boom. Moving a little bit, but going to step back up there and try to pick up the spare here in round one.
Leaving a solid 7 right out of the box. It's a good way to open the match there, Tom. It gives you a little confidence. You don't like not carrying it, but there you see the little nemesis of the first frame.
Stan did carry 8 out of 10 of those in the roll-off this morning against Bill Heflin. He shot a 266. Bill had a 244, and he will be standing by keeping score for us today.
And he does indeed pick up the...
He, of course, qualified with a 705 series, and Stan had a fine 720.
Looks pretty good. And 10 up, 10 down. In the first frame for Roger Sauerwein. David, you touched briefly, I don't mean to interrupt, you touched briefly a little bit about the player's style and how they may be changing it today.
Well, as I mentioned in the opening, Tommy's, Roger is going to be going more direct, as we saw there, and we'll pick it up on a shot later in the match, meaning he's going to be playing a tighter line. He's not going to be arcing the ball out quite as much. Now, the only trouble he may have is if the ball deflects a little bit too much, he may leave a weak 10-pin from time to time, but judging from the way his ball is rolling right now, doesn't appear to be a problem. Let's take a look at it here on the split screen if we could. his approach, nothing fancy, like we said, just a no-frills game, straight arm swing, good knee bend. Boom, 1-3 pocket, every pin in the pit. That's what you want to see.
And he says, yes, sir, right after that one. 20 up and 20 down for Roger Sauerwein.
Roger was on our show 11 years ago, and he has never been king yet, but he's going to try and give it a shot here now.
Yeah, off to a pretty good start. Stan Eaton in the second frame, and once again, leaves at 7.
See the bigger bender, Tommy, as we alluded to. The release is going to cause it. Let's see if we can take a look at it here. Now watch him go around this ball a little bit, right? See, now there he's going around the ball a little bit, which causes you to swing the ball. It spins early, goes out to the left in Stan's case, and then starts its trip back to the 1-2 pocket. Bad angle. He's going to have to change a little something if he wants to get that one out of there.
I notice he throws with a little bit more loft than some of the other players we may see today.
Well, it's a good point, too, Tommy. That's another adjustment you can make, but a loft adjustment is tough if it's not normally part of your game. A loft will create a ball that will go further down the lane, and therefore maybe leaving a 7-pin. So he may want to try to get the ball down a little sooner.
Of course, as I said, we're coming from Kingpin Lanes, and they have a nice no-tap tournament going on here. And that will be going on Saturday, March 11th, and also Saturday, March 18th, and Sunday the 19th. So come on out and give that a shot.
Nice looking shot right there by Stan Eaton after back-to-back spares. Here in the third, he rings up 10.
There you go. You went with a little more directness instead of that soft roll in the arc, Tom, to go a little more direct, a little more speed, and carry out the pesky little 7 there.
Now this guy's been pretty pesky so far, and there is 10 more. Make it a triple for Roger Sauerwein.
Let's see if we can compare releases on this one. Again, no real frills here. Just comes right up underneath the ball and then off to the side just a wee bit. Look at the arm swing. It's perfectly at his target. The ball fills up to 1-3. Every pin doing its job. 10 in the pit. Roger's perfect. I threw 3.
We have a fine Mustang GT, white with a red velour interior, compliments of Walt Sweeney Ford in Western Hills. He's brought that out in the case of a 300 game.
And no sooner does Jennifer make that statement, the hex is immediately put on Mr. Sauerwein.
You weren't here last week. We had a new one. It's the Clecamp factor.
Is that
year.
right?
Yeah, she
nailed me.
She stonewalled Brian on 6 in a row, I think, and so I'm out of it this year.
Okay. I'm not so sure about that, but at least we have 2 factors now this year. One other than the new rat factor, which has been deadly over the past 3 or 4 years. Mr. Sauerwein picks up the spare.
Yeah.
We should make note, our king, of course, is Brian Himmler, only 15 years old. He is an Anderson High School sophomore. This is his home turf. So by the time the final game rolls around today, he is going to have a lot of folks in the seats rooting for him.
A little more direct again. You see, he did not change his loft because that's naturally part of his game. Let's take a look out on the replay here, Tommy. A little more direct, whereas before he was arcing the ball out to about the 2nd or 3rd board. There you see it hold tight in around the 5th board. Big difference in an angle change. Boom.
That's the exact ball he was throwing in that roll-off, and I was amazed to see how it was holding the pocket.
Yes.
I said, Stan, it looked like you pulled it, went right through the nose. He said, no, I can pull it to tomorrow, and it's going to stay right there.
Yeah. The players have to play the condition that's out there, and today it's a stuff shot. Boom.
Make it back-to-back. Well, I should correct myself. That's 3 in a row now, so the adjustment that he has made is paying off big time. Take a look at the scoreboard, David, and we've got ourselves a match.
Virtually, it's all tied up. Assuming Roger would strike in his next delivery. Per pin.
He's looking for 10 up and 10 down. Looks pretty good, but didn't get a whole lot of pin help.
The only drawback I was telling you about playing that tight line is the deflection that could happen and does happen here. Now see, the ball is very straight. Now watch it as it hits the head pin. Jump to the right here now. Going to jump to the right now. It's going to miss the 5 pin altogether. Right there you had the 5, 7, 10 for a moment. Then the head pin comes off the wall, takes out the 5. The only trouble with playing that tight line, look out.
Ooh.
Boy, he knew it the minute it left his hand, too.
And that mistake right there could prove costly for Roger Sauerwein. That is the first open frame in this match so far.
Dave, is that because of the amount of oil that's in the middle of the lane?
Exactly. Both players were telling me the amount of oil in the middle of the lane today will make the spare shooting a little more different. Maybe not difficult, but different. Everyone has a spare shooting system that works for them, and they have to modify that system today. But that's a good way to modify an open frame.
Matter of fact, that's the best way.
You bet. You want to watch a ripper. Here it is. The head pin, center your screen, and the one right behind it, the 5 pin, are going to do the damage. There goes the head pin to the wall, the 5 pin into the 7. Yeah, you guys are out of here.
You know, and it's so important once you do miss that spare, you know, in any particular directions, whether it's the 7 or the 10, to take note on what you did and make sure that when you leave it again, you don't miss it.
Bingo.
Take word there. Boy, he is really starting to crank it up now. One Stan Eaton. That is 4 strikes in a row after back-to-back spares in the first and second frames in 3, 4, 5, and now 6. 10 up, 10 down.
And that actually gives him a 22-pin advantage, Tommy. 22-pin advantage going into the 7th frame is not insurmountable, but it's a nice little cushion. What about some of Stan's accomplishments? What's he got online here for us?
Well, I can tell you one great accomplishment. He's got a little girl, and I saw her picture. She's really darling. Her name is Whitney, and he's married. There's 2 good accomplishments right there. And let's work on the bowling now. That was an accomplishment to carry that shot. I know that.
Well, he leaves a 10 pin, and he's lucky to only have that. But go ahead, continue, Jay.
Well, he's from Dayton, so he's their city champion, their match game champion. He's won the Louisville Derby tournament. You've been to that one, Dave, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
OTBA, 2 titles. Those are very difficult to win.
Well, and another thing, let's explain to the people at home, too. He's from Dayton. Why is he on a Cincinnati show? Well, he happens to chose to drive down to, I think it's either Fairfield Lanes. Again, I'm not sure. I'll check during the break. But he bowls in a greater Cincinnati house, and that enables him to bowl. Not just anyone can come into town and bowl in our tournament.
So now Roger Sauerwein, who looked to be in early command of this match, but left an open 5th frame, followed it up with a strike in the 6th, and leaves one standing here in the 7th.
Well, the weak hit I alluded to again earlier, the ball deflected, the 6 pin went into the channel with nothing on it and leaves the weak 10. The trouble with playing that tight line without the advantage of the tremendous roll and revs that, say, our next 2 contestants are going to have.
Uh-oh.
Spare shooting could be the undermining of Sauerwein today.
I mean, I know that it's such a trivial point, but spare shooting is probably the most important part of the game, or at least one of the top 2 or 3. Would you agree with that, Dave?
Exactly. You do have to cover all your spares, especially at this caliber. I mean, 1 open frame in a match can be your undoing, and 2 almost certainly spells death unless your opponent just completely lost. See, there you see it again. Let's see if we can pick this one up on the replay. Another weak 10. Now let's watch the ball deflect as it hits the 1-3 pocket. That's the one in the middle, and then the one just to the right of it. The ball's going to deflect, take the 3 pin back. Now that's the 6 pin going to the right-hand channel. Now look at it. It just trying to nudge up there and get it, but it's not the right angle for it to happen.
Now, as this match has progressed, why is it that earlier in the match, he seems to be holding basically the same line. You talked about a direct ball. He's still throwing a direct ball, and Stan has adjusted to throwing the direct ball. Why is it that now all of a sudden some of Roger's balls are leaving a 7 or a 10?
Pressure.
Pressure.
Speed, maybe.
Easy.
Maybe he's put a little more
Pressure.
speed on the ball.
Well, you see early, he jumps out into an early lead. No pressure at all. Stan did nothing. Stan starts striking. What's Roger do? He starts squeezing just a little bit. Very typical, very human. It's not a, it's not a fault. It's nothing against Roger. It's just human nature. Great shot, Stan Eaton. Strike in the 8th frame gives him 168 in the 7th, and it basically gives him a 33-pin lead as we speak. And if he throws another one, it's 43 pins, and then it's all over.
Well, Jennifer had alluded to the point a little bit earlier that for Roger Sauerwein, this was the first time he had made our television show in 11 years. Never been king. It hasn't been nearly that long for Stan Eaton. He was on our show back in 1984, and he is starting to show why he is here and won the roll-off a little bit earlier today.
I'd like to say congratulations to a couple of 300 shooters this week. At Fairfield Lanes, Terry Rose had a 300, and also Ron Bonner, big left-hander.
A couple of familiar names there, which I'm sure we'll see down the road. A little bit of the pressure off now, and he just steps up there and lets it fly and knocks down 10.
Well, yeah, you're right. The pressure is completely off. The best he can do at this point, Tommy, is 215, and even with an open frame and a bad count, Stan Eaton will still win this match. So this match is over for Roger.
And of course, Stan Eaton will go on to meet Tim George, who had a 791 series, and also yesterday at Stones had a 730, which was really impressive, especially yesterday.
Yeah, he, like I said, I crossed next to him last week, and I've never seen a man bowl as well as he has been bowling the last couple of weeks. The ball's just coming off his hand like it's fluid. You see it in baseball, you know, and there's no real explanation for it, Tommy. Just every once in a while, a swing is just so pure. That's what Tim George's release is right now. It's as pure as it can possibly get.
Hot hand in town?
Yeah, I'll go out on a limb and say that. Hot hand in town. Now he's going to be coming up against, if he wins the next match, he'll be coming up against a very hot hand in town, Brian Himmler.
Roger Sauerwein finishes things up. And he finishes, for him, a disappointing 202. And it won't be good enough to beat this man, Stan Eaton. He will advance. And our next couple of matches should be dandies.
Yep. Especially since Stan has made the adjustment, gone with the tighter shot. He could be tough to beat, but again, he's coming up against some marvelous, marvelous talent.
Now, Jennifer, you've been on our show many times. How important is it at this point in your last frame to go out with, say, 2-3? It would be 4 strikes in a row for Eaton, getting a little momentum for that next match.
Oh, no doubt. It really builds your confidence, and you want to make sure that you keep that same stroke, you keep that same line, and, you know, just keep it flowing through the next. He has the match won, but now he will take note on that. I can guarantee it.
Okay, now what do you say to yourself?
What?
Well, first of all, how in the world do you make this thing?
You know what? Since it doesn't make any difference, I'd go for it. It's a crowd pleaser. What he wants to do is take the ball just to the right of the center of the 6-pin, which is the second one from the right-hand side. Just, well, a little bit more than that, and then slide the 6 over him. But it's a pretty shot when you see it's made, but not today. Okay, well, Mr. Stan Eaton will be going on to meet our next opponent with 242.